Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lakbe Adibaju. I make lifestyle videos, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for joining us again. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get an alert when a new video. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the five best places to live if you're looking to move to southwestern Ontario. So if you're a newcomer, or someone who lives somewhere else and is looking to move somewhere close to Toronto but not actually quite Toronto or the GTA, southwestern Ontario is actually a very good place to look into. And just a background story, so I moved to Canada in 2014, and I've lived in London, Ontario, I've lived in Oakville, I've lived in Milton, and currently living in Cambridge. So I've lived in a couple of places and I have an idea of how it is to live in most parts of, I'll say, northern, southern and southwestern Ontario. So it's kind of similar, but there are still some perks of living in some places than others. One major thing you should consider if you're a newcomer or if you're looking to move to Canada very soon is the weather. In terms of weather, Canada is very volatile. Everyone knows that Canada is a cold place. But if you're looking for somewhere that has great weather, apart from British Columbia, I hate them. If you're looking for somewhere cool, I think southern and southwestern Ontario is still have relatively generally okay weather compared to other parts of Ontario. Some other parts, majorly northern Ontario, have it really bad when it's in the winter, and even in the summer the humidity is crazy. So those are the kind of things you should consider. You should also consider cost of housing, proximity to education. So we're looking at elementary schools, high schools, post secondary education, and also the proximity to getting jobs. So one major reason people like to live in Toronto or anywhere in the GTA is the proximity to Toronto, because that's where most of the jobs are. But there are also jobs in other parts of Ontario. There are jobs in Waterloo region, there are jobs in London, Ontario. Of course, not as much as in Toronto, definitely, but don't limit yourself to living in Toronto or the environment, because it is expensive, right? So those are the kind of things you want to look at. So I'm just here to narrow down your options if you're considering not living in Toronto or parts of Toronto, but you still want to have that proximity to Toronto. So that's why southwestern Ontario might be an option for you. So let's begin. Okay, so number 5 is Stratford. So Stratford is one of the major cities in southwestern Ontario. It is actually a very small city. So the population as of 2016 was about 32,000 people, and it's majorly known for tourism, agriculture, and some manufacturing is done in the city. So it's a really small city, and cost of housing starts from approximately 300,000. So I'll say rent would be around let's say on an average a 2-bedroom condo will be around 1,600 and up. So it depends on what you're looking for, but that's just like an average. Of course, you can get as high a house as high as $1 million, but that's like the average, the starting point. In terms of education, they've got a lot of elementary schools, even French immersion schools, high schools as well. And the tertiary or post-secondary institution they have is a satellite campus of University of Waterloo, which focuses on design, business, and things relating to content creation business. That's the department there. So it's a Faculty of Arts department located in Stratford. So that's the only post-secondary institution located there. As I said, it's a really small city, but it is close to London. I'll say it's in the middle of London, Ontario, and also Waterloo region. So it's kind of in the middle of those two major cities. So if you're looking for somewhere small and quiet and still gives you proximity to those things, and of course largely Toronto, so I'll say it's about approximately 2 hours away from Toronto. So that's one option you can like to consider. So yeah, Stratford is a good place to live. And of course, there's low crime rate. Unemployment is low because you have so many options. You could decide to drive to work, or you could decide to take a train if you are looking to. I know some people actually commute to as far as Toronto. So if that's something you're looking, into getting, that's an option. But you are able to drive within the environment, and their jobs are depending on the industry you're looking for, though. So have that in mind. In terms of transportation, it's not that great, to be honest, because I'll just say, I'll just come out straight and tell you, anywhere that is not a major city, transportation is crap. That's just how it is in North America. So have that in mind. That's why having a car is actually really essential if you're not living in a major city like Toronto or Waterloo. Yeah. So they have their own local transit system, and there's also the VRL. So that's the federal government train line. So it commutes, of course, from all the way to Windsor and back to Toronto, and I think Quebec. So the line passes through Stratford as well. So that's something you consider. But I don't think the GO Transit actually has Stratford on its route. It doesn't. So you can just have that in mind if you're considering living in Stratford and need to use the GO Transit. Is Brantford. Brantford is another southwestern Ontario city, and it is on the edge of Hamilton. So I'll say it is kind of close to Hamilton, but also it's located, southwestern. So it's closer to Cambridge, Guelph, London, those kind of areas. So yeah, I'll say it's usually described as on the south end of Hamilton. It's also a relatively small city, and they've got a population as of 2016. They had a population of 112,000, but I'm pretty sure they'll be about maybe 200 or 300,000 people by now, because there's a lot of development going on there. So people are really purchasing and people are really moving there. As newcomers keep coming in, the place is booming. I'm going to say that for sure. So housing is really booming there at the moment. And it's actually a very famous city because of its very popular resident, Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the first telephone in his father's home in Brantford. So anytime you mention Brantford, think of Bell, phone, what's it called, internet, anything that has to do with phone and whatever. So Brantford. And there are several campuses. So in terms of education, there's of course elementary schools, high schools, and of course post-secondary institutions. We've got campuses there. So there isn't an actual university that is situated there, but there are campuses there. So for example, we've got Laurier Brantford, that's Wilfrid Laurier University. They've got a Brantford campus there, which is very, very big, active there. And there's also a university called Nipissing University, which partners with Wilfrid Laurier to offer some courses there as well. And we've also got Conestoga College, which also partners with Wilfrid Laurier to offer some courses there as well. And in terms of transportation, I'll say transportation is fair. It's not the best, as I said earlier. It's not a major city, so they only have their regular bus transit system. And of course the Go Via Rail, which is a federal train system, passes through there, which is typical of most cities. And there's a Go bus that has a line. So it's not a train, it's the bus. There's a line that passes through there that can take you to the Aldershot Go station, which is in Hamilton, and that train, Go train, can take you to Toronto. So that's something you can consider if you still want to work downtown and want to live in Brantford. I know that's what most people do. If you want to commute, it might be a stretch driving from Brantford to Toronto, but still people do this thing. So it's up to you, whatever you want. But in terms of transportation, I'll give it a 4/10. In terms of safety, it's relatively safe. There aren't so many people there, but I know in the past there's been some issues of like crime rates being on the high side compared to other growing cities in Ontario. But I want to believe that now that people are moving there more, security is going to be beefed up and crime rates will reduce, hopefully. So yeah, that's Brantford for you. 3 is London, Ontario. Yeah, I have a soft spot for London because that was actually the first place I moved to when we came to Canada. That was where we studied. So we studied in Fanshawe College. London is a very beautiful city. It's actually, when you think of London, Ontario, I know most people think London, United Kingdom, but they are completely different. Even though London, Ontario was actually named after London, the original London, United Kingdom, but they're nothing alike. Like, they're completely different. London, Ontario is actually a very calm city. It's small, obviously, compared to London, United Kingdom, and it has this very chill vibe, at least when I was there, which was in 2014 and 2015. Very chill vibe. And of course, it's home to a very popular university. I'm pretty sure you know Western University, and of course Fanshawe College. So most people who live in London, Ontario are there because it's a city on its own, so it's very independent, and it's got a very good university and of course college. So their education is really on par, because you know Western University is a very popular university in terms of best universities in the world. It's located north of Lake Erie and the US border. So you have that option of driving to Toronto in less than 2 hours, and also you're close to the US border. So if you wanted to go to, I think it's close to Michigan, Detroit, I think that's the border, yeah. So if you wanted to go to the US, you have that option of driving into the US very easily. And it's got a population of about 400,000. That was about 2016, but I would say approximately there will probably be about 700,000 people now, or even more. Most of the population are mostly students, so they have a very, like, people move in and out a lot because it's very popular for their post-secondary, It's also got several hospitals, including a university teaching hospital, which is very, very good, which is another reason why I believe London, Ontario is very, very popular. And in terms of housing, cost of housing starts at approximately 300,000, so which is good for starting families. So you find that young families who don't want to live in Toronto, who are very okay with moving away from Toronto, will choose London, Ontario, and it's close to Toronto. So if you wanted to go to Wonderland, you can always drive there and return the same day. You know what I mean? And of course, London also has its own perks. It has a lot of malls, a lot of play centers for kids. Like, it's actually very friendly in terms of education and also bringing up a small family. So it might be something for you to consider. In terms of jobs, when I was there, jobs weren't so easy to find, but if you're in healthcare or education, those are the major places that employ the most in London. So in education, the university and the college usually do a lot of employing, and also the hospitals. So if you're in healthcare, nursing, personal support worker, or even social workers, usually find a lot of jobs in London, Ontario. So that is London for you. 2 is Guelph, Ontario. Guelph, Ontario is actually a really interesting city. It's I believe they're located on a hill, like very hilly. It's a very hilly area. If you've ever been there before, you'll know. And it's usually referred to as the Royal City. It's located about 100 kilometers away from Toronto, so it will take you approximately an hour to get to Toronto from Guelph, which isn't bad. I have a couple of friends who live in Guelph and still have to work downtown Toronto, so it's not bad. People do that a lot. There is a GO bus in that commutes to Guelph, all the way to Union Station in Toronto, and you also have the option of taking the bus and stopping over at Milton and taking the train from Milton to downtown Toronto. So that's an option for you. They've got approximately 160,000 in population as of 2016, but I will say there are probably approximately 400,000 people there now. Who knows? I know a lot of people are moving there now, and also there's a lot of development going on in Guelph. Like houses are springing up like really quickly, and even the value of houses are beginning to be at the same level with Kitchener, Milton. You actually find houses as expensive as that there. So yeah, it's developing pretty fast. Transportation, it's fair. I mentioned the GO Transit, and they also have their own bus transit system that works within the city, which isn't bad, and unemployment rate isn't so bad. So actually they have one of the lowest unemployment rates in Canada. So it was 1.9% as of January 2019, which compared to the general average of 5.9% is actually really good. So for some reason Guelph has a lot of jobs. Yeah, I don't know what industry is really booming there, but I could do the research and let you guys know. If you want to know, let me know in the comments. They also have, in terms of education, they have a university there. It's called University of Guelph, which is actually a very popular university as well. They're mostly known for, the university is mostly known for courses in nutrition, food science, nutrition, biology, things like that. So it's actually a really good university for that. It's actually really good. Cost of living is, really good. It's actually a very good place to live in. Come to number one. Number one is Waterloo. So Waterloo, the city, is located in Waterloo region, Ontario. Waterloo is a very beautiful city. I don't know if you guys have been there before. If you've been there before, let me know. It's actually really beautiful. Like, to me, it's just like a cleaner Toronto, like a less congested Toronto. If you've been there, you know what I mean. It's actually a really beautiful place. And if you've heard the saying before, it's referred to as the world's smartest city. We're actually given this award by the Intelligent Community Forum, because once you mention Waterloo, you're thinking technology, digital advancement. Like, that is the hub of technology in Canada. So when you say Waterloo, you're thinking is it San Francisco in US, where the whole Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, so you're thinking Silicon Valley when you say Waterloo. That's how popular Waterloo is in Canada. And of course, there are two major universities in Waterloo, which makes Waterloo very, very, like, you can actually put it on par with Toronto, because just as Toronto has University of Toronto and York University of Waterloo is in Waterloo, and we also have Wilfrid Laurier University. And this university is actually very popular and really great universities. Like, when we're talking about University of Waterloo, you know how hard it is to get into that school. Like, it's actually a world-class institution. They also have a post-secondary college. They're referred to as Conestoga College. They've got a couple of campuses all over the region. So I probably should have mentioned this earlier. So I think I said Waterloo is in Waterloo region. In Waterloo region, we also have Kitchener, Cambridge as the other two major cities. There are a couple of smaller cities in the Waterloo region, so many cities, or should I say towns, but the most popular, the ones that are recognized, are Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge. So when I say Waterloo region, you can just generalize, say Kitchener, Cambridge. Like, they're actually all great places to live in, but Waterloo is still, I don't know, my hat's off to them. It's actually a very beautiful city. I have to keep saying it. Houses start at approximately 600,000, so it's on the higher side. Obviously makes sense, because it's kind of if you want to compare, while looking at Toronto, although Toronto, don't talk about Toronto, you guys. Toronto is expensive. But yeah, so it's actually on the high side. But if you're looking at renting, you can still find a 2-bedroom for approximately $1,800, I believe. 2-bedroom, and and up, whatever you're looking for. Of course, it is safe to live in. There's low employment there, and of course, most of the jobs come from the universities, and many startups. So there are so many startups in Waterloo, largely because it's focused on the economy is focused on digital transformation. Anything that has to do with IT. There's so many startups here, so to have that in mind, if you're in the IT sector, this might actually be a good place to move to. It's actually not bad to start when you come in. They've got really great transportation. So apart from the I think it's called Grand River Transit, I think. Yeah, so the Grand River Transit, which is their bus system, operates within the entire Waterloo region. So we're talking about Waterloo, Cambridge, Kitchener, and also the Go Transit. There's a line that comes from Union Station, Toronto, to Kitchener and back, and they also have a light rail transit that that works within the Tri-City area. So it's usually referred to as the Tri-City area, the region, which is really good. So transportation is actually good. But I live in Cambridge, so the light rail transit hasn't come to Cambridge yet, so you still have to drive around a lot. I mean, I like to drive, so it's not an issue for me, but that's just something to have in mind. If you are not really keen on driving, Kitchener or Waterloo will be your best bet, you know, because the transport is usually referred to as the corridor. I don't know, I can't remember the exact term, but it's a corridor away from Toronto. So I'll say give or take an hour away from Toronto. So if you want to live in Waterloo region and still work in Toronto, it's very, very possible. Of course, you still have to understand that it's a commute away, but people do it. People who live in Kitchener and take the GO train to downtown Toronto every day. So, you know, it's something, if you want to do that, if you don't want to live in Toronto or, you know, around Toronto, it's actually something to consider, because in terms of housing, I'll say it's still affordable compared to parts of the GTA. So yeah, those are the 5 best places I recommend you to live if you want to live in southwestern Ontario. If you like this type of video, if you actually enjoyed this video, let me know, and also give me a thumbs up, because I intend doing a series, you know, on places to live in Ontario, just based on my research and my experience, because I've not lived in so many places, but I've lived in a couple of places enough for me to know what works and what doesn't work, especially for newcomers and young families. So if you like it, just let me know. I could do a series, and the next one will be probably the best place to live in the GTA. So let me know in the comments, okay? So yeah, we've come to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. As always, thank you for watching my video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.